taken the money and gone to South America, basically. And here we are, just getting excited about this awesome business model, and the franchisor, disappears. Like buying a McDonald's franchise and McDonald's goes away. Like, I know how to make hamburgers, but I like the brand.
Yeah, right. Welcome back to the Cannonball Mindset, and this interview has taken several years to get on because it seems like you're never in the country, or like maybe you're in the country, you're never in Baltimore. You're in my own backyard, and you've been the hardest person to get because you're so busy. But I'm sitting here with the founder of Structural Technologies, and if you don't know what this company does, you absolutely are thankful that they're around, because as I say, I think you guys save lives without even people knowing it. Peter Emmons started this company 45 years ago, and it's grown into a really worldwide. I'm saying you have offices in the Middle East now, all over the United States, and so just an amazing company. You're going to tell us all about it, but really, really pleased to have Peter Emmons, founder of Structural Technologies.
Well, thank you, Chad. It's good to be here and share.
45 years ago, you decided to start a company. You'll go out on your own. The story of deciding to go out on your own, to me, I heard it 3 years ago at a conference in Texas, and I was like, "What?" And I had known, the company for a while, but hearing the story was amazing. So, can you tell us, 45 years ago, we'll get into what Structural Technologies actually does, and you'll tell us about that. But tell us what the pivotal moment was that you said, "Hey, I'm gonna just do this on my own."
Okay, well, it's always a great story to share. There's a lot of lessons in the story. So I guess growing up, I was always a bit entrepreneurial. I had a juice stand at the pool. I sold. I developed a new product when I was about 8, and basically I'd take 5 cents and put it in the Coke machine at the pub at a club pool, and get a Coke out, and then I would take it and pour it into an ice tray, and fill up the ice tray with Coke, and then freeze it. And so I would take the 12 ice cubes and sell them for a penny. So it cost me a nickel, and I sold them for 12 cents. Then I learned to maximize my product by diluting the Coke with water, so I could get 2 trays for 5 cents. So I doubled my margin. So that worked pretty well in the summer. So that was my first entrepreneurial experience. Wow. So I learned how to sell Coke and cut Coke.
Totally different story. Yes, that's awesome.
So,
love that.
So I really enjoyed business. I went to school, studied engineering, got a degree in civil engineering. So I liked the technical and the business combined. So during my school at College Park, I joined the co-op program, which just had started there, which is a work semester, go to school semester. I needed that to pay my way. So I found a great job working for a small contractor in Baltimore that did repair work on bridges and buildings, and really learned construction, estimating, project management. I was doing payroll. It was a small company, so I got to do everything. And when I graduated, I wanted to work for them. So I said, I went to work. I said, "Can I ever be an owner with you?" There was 2 guys, Chernak and Brad Benner, the 2 owners, and they each owned 50%. And Mr. Chernak said, "Peter, absolutely not." I said, "Oh, I didn't ask for it right now. I just want to know if it would ever be possible to be an owner." Because I like the business, and I really liked them. They're great mentors and teachers. But the no was kind of like took me back. Like, he didn't explain why. I later understood that he didn't want to offer anybody ownership because the 50-50 ownership that they had to 2 partners was too delicate. They were, it was challenging, and to have a third party in there, they realized that the balance of 50-50 would be destroyed. Yeah. But he never explained that. But about 6 months later, that statement of sharing the desire to be an owner stimulated thought in their minds. So an opportunity came along. A company was selling licenses, franchises in territories for setting up specialized concrete repair. So they had a product line. They were selling franchises for $40,000 a piece. So they came to me and said, Peter, we have the opportunity for you. There's a company that wants us considers us a candidate for a franchise for this, and if something you want to do, we could set up a whole new company, and you could run it. So I'm just out of college, a year out of college, and this proposal's being given to me. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. How I can't imagine anything better. Setting up my own company, having my mentors be my partners. So they said, well, you have to raise $20,000. We'll each raise 20, and we'll have 60,000, and we'll buy the franchise for 40, and we'll have 20 for working capital, and you can work in this office. I said, great. So I went out and scratched together some funds. I borrowed some money from my brother-in-law. I had to take him out for crabs and give him a lot of beer, and he committed to $10,000. So we scratched together, my 20,000, and we bought the franchise. And then I went out, and the first thing we went to training, and they told us that we needed a salesperson. Every company, every franchise should have a salesperson. So I went out after setting up this new company. I became the president. At 24 years old, didn't really understand a lot other than I had a good business sense. And I went out and hired a salesperson, Jim Schneider. Jim showed up for the interview. He was smoking a big cigar. He drove a big Lincoln back in that time, almost 50 years ago, and had a big whip antenna. You can picture the guy, the big cigar, leather jacket. And he comes into my office for the interview, and I just interviewed about 6 guys. And this guy, Jim, was like, oh my God, this is the perfect guy. I didn't appreciate some of the sales kind of talk and just the style of this guy, but I realized that he might be the perfect guy. Yeah. So I hired Jim. So Jim came on board as our sales guy, and so he worked for me. I had one employee, and we started selling the concept of concrete repair to contractors and to owners, the city of Baltimore. We went around looking for stuff. We didn't know what we were doing. We'd never done this work before, but we had some training. That's all we needed, and a business concept that we could make a business out of it. So we could use the technology, the products, and apply it to a solution. And we started doing that. And about 15 months later, we had gotten some really difficult jobs. It wasn't like we had a reputation. So we got at the local university in Baltimore, we read that they had a problem with a brand new library. Water was pouring in the basement. So we went over there and we convinced them that we could solve it for $2,000. That was our first job. And they were getting ready to excavate the outside for $250,000, and we came in not quite understanding what the market conditions were, and we offered it for $2,000, and we got the job. So we hired a couple of people. Our first employee was Jim's son, Brett. He still works for us. He's an awesome guy. And we went in there and we drilled some holes between the stairs and the wall. We put a little French drain in, and we repaired it after a couple of days, and the water stopped. We were heroes.
All right.
So we were taking basically a customer issue and turning it into a need for a solution, and then we applied our know-how, our construction ability, some products, and we solved it. So that was the business model. So a few months later, the company that we had bought the franchise from, the name was Sinmast. So Sinmast, we didn't realize it at the time, but their whole goal was to sell franchises and not be an operator. So they had sold 345 licenses across the United States and Canada. They had raised about $5 million, which was big money back then. It's probably worth $50 million today. And they declared Chapter 7. They just made an announcement. They closed their doors. They didn't want to reorganize, and they'd taken the money and gone to South America, basically. And here we are, just getting excited about this awesome business model, and the franchisor, disappears. Like buying a McDonald's franchise and McDonald's goes away. Like,
Yeah.
I know how to make hamburgers, but I like the brand.
Yeah, right.
So my two partners, Mr. Chernak and Mr. Breadbenner, were devastated, absolutely devastated that they invested each $20,000, and we bought this franchise, and they were so disappointed and just they were devastated. Like, this is the end of the business. It's done. We just lost $20,000. And I'm thinking, wow, what CinMass gave us was a business model, a concept of creating a specialty contracting technology company to have products and solutions and make people happy by solving their difficult problems. CinMass wasn't even a known brand. It was brand new in the market, so it really wasn't a brand like if you had bought a McDonald's franchise.
Yeah.
It's all about the brand.
Yeah.
So I said to them, let's continue. We can write off. The benefit of this is we can write off as a tax loss.
Yeah.
And so I said, how about if we do that and each of you contribute more capital back from the tax savings? It pissed them off. They said, no way, Jose. So I said, okay. So I realized that they didn't want anything to do with it. So I said, how about if I buy it from you? I'll pay you back what you invested. It was 15 months after we made the investment. I said, I'll give you back your $20,000 each, $40,000, and I just needed some time. Give me a few years, and I'll pay it back. So we signed a piece of paper, and we created a deal.
So now you own the company?
Well, not yet.
Oh.
We signed a letter of intent.
Oh, yeah, okay.
On one piece of paper. I took all the files and some equipment and some inventory that we had purchased before they went out of business, the CinMass company, and I took it out to my house and my garage, my basement, and so Jim Schneider, my sales guy, like we're a team. We're hanging together. We just been told that, our mother company that was kind of the sponsor was out.
It's now gone.
It's now gone. It's like, so you can see how this thing is evolving.
Yeah.
From a few words to my boss when I was hired, can I ever be a partner? To being a partner, and now the partnership's falling apart.
Do you think that was the test? Do you think that was the test to see if you were really serious about going forward with this desire to be an entrepreneur? Do you think every entrepreneur has at some point some sort of test that tests the resolve of, is this really what you want to do?
The universe is delivering exactly what I wanted to me, because I said I want this, and then they delivered it in a strange way very quickly. And then it's evolving very quickly. In 15 months, it's transforming itself into something else. So I have this letter of intent. We have a couple months. We have to get some legal documents put together. And I'm operating out of my house like I already own it. And then we have this closing. Okay, so I go to the closing at their accountant's office. I can remember this so vividly. And I walk in the office. The two guys are sitting there with their lawyer and accountant, and they say, Peter, we changed our mind. We're not going to finance this. We want all our money right now. I mean, today. I said, well, you got to be kidding. We have an agreement. A letter of intent says, I'll pay you over time. I don't have the money. They say, well, then we have to vote. If you don't have the money, we're going to take a vote right now. We have, 2/3 of the vote. You have 1/3. And if you don't have the money, then we're going to continue the company and we're going to fire you. So they did. And right in front of me, I got fired.
What?
I was like, you got to be kidding me. It's like got broadsided. So I left the room. Now, first, I just had gotten hired. I just became a president of a company. And 15 months later, I'm fired. It's like, wow. I'm still excited about this whole opportunity. It's like, okay. So I went down the road and to the diner, and I met with Jim Schneider, my sales guy. I said, I just got fired. I didn't see it coming. What are we going to do? So so we sat there and we said, well, let's start a new company. So the original company was Structural Conservation Systems. And we said, well, let's just change the conservation to preservation. So we changed it to Structural Preservation Systems. Let's go down and get incorporated. And you know what? We got all this sales momentum. We got all these deals we've been cooking for the last 15 months. Jim was amazing. So he would go out and find the opportunity, and I would put together the proposal and supervise the construction. You know, these small jobs, these nasty little jobs.
Yeah.
It was fun. So that's exactly what we did. All of a sudden, I went from a 1/3 owner. Jim and I decided that we'd both be 50-50. So I went from a third to 50% owner and president, CEO of this new company. So that's the story of how so that's the company that is what we have today. So Mr. Chernak, Ted Chernak, the awesome guy, he mentored me, developed me. I felt so bad that, oh my God, I can't pay him back.
Yeah.
He just fired me. So it's always been in my soul and my heart of such gratitude for them to nurture me, develop me, give me the opportunity that I received. But somehow the trust or faith in me, for a short amount of time, they decided to keep it. And of course, they shut it down right afterwards. And, they didn't get paid back. I just don't understand the logic.
That's the part that doesn't make sense to me. Because they had an opportunity to be paid back, but now they got nothing. So what was the benefit there?
I don't know. I just don't understand it. But the universe delivered. What I learned is it's important to share your vision with as many people as possible because they'll help you. They helped me. I shared my vision of being a business owner, and they gave it to me. And then the universe came back again and gave it to me in a way that I had control. Being a third owner, I could be, I didn't know I could be fired. I never thought about being fired.
Yeah, right.
Never been fired before.
Since.
Or since. So the universe gave me what I needed, which was a company that I could control. Even though I was 50% owner, I picked up a new partner, Jim, who was absolutely instrumental in creating, you have to put a lot of energy and you need a lot of tremendous energy to transform something from something that's nothing to something that's something. Yeah. And Jim was a critical ingredient in that.
That's unbelievable. There's so many lessons in that one story. Yeah. About perseverance, about speaking the future you want, putting it out into the universe. Mm-hmm. But when you think back, so think about on that day at the diner, could you have foreseen 45 years later? I'm saying, you hear, I was just at Spanx. Spanx has an owner, Sarah Blakely. I was down at her corporate office giving a talk, and I started reading more about her. And same thing, she started this $5,000. She had $5,000. Now it's going into a $500 million lingerie company, or I don't know if they would even call it an underwear company. And it started from her house, going door to door. It's the same thing. Like, could you have foreseen all those years ago that $20,000 that you scraped together would lead to, the 3,000 employees over several different countries doing the work I'm saying, how do you, I know you said you have gratitude, but how do you grapple that? Like, how do you process the magnitude of that?
Well, I don't think you can, I know at the time I never projected that far in the future. Yeah. After things settled down, I always thought about 3 years ahead. What's it going to be 3 years from now? You always have to have a vision. Having the vision of being a business owner was, that's how you create reality, is you have to have a vision. So always, 3 or 5 years ahead is about all I could ever imagine. 45 years ahead, there's no way. It's too amorphous, it's too strange,
too long, yeah.
and too unimportant. But having the vision is important. Yeah. And then you start creating it, baby steps at a time.
So fast forward to now, to where you are now, and knowing this company as well as I do, and knowing you, the one thing that comes back over and over again is culture. Culture. You know, one of your core principles clearly is how you treat your people and the type of environment you set. When did that become, for you, a bedrock principle of man, I got to have a great culture?
Well, that's a great question, and it is the most important thing, because it's how you carry out your life, is your values and principles and what you believe and how you want to be treated, how you want to treat others, and so many other aspects of what culture is. So, so when you start a company, you know, you start applying your own principles without calling it culture. You just do what you do. You treat people as you do, and you deal with problems as you do. So that becomes, you learn as you go. I would say 15 years into this creation, the need for defining culture, even using the word culture, starts to show up. When you see things as the company grows and expands, and you see things that don't feel good, it says to you, wow, we have a cultural problem. They're not following the culture. And you say to yourself, well, have they ever been taught what the culture is? All you do is you make judgment, which is sometimes difficult, but you make judgment of people and how they're doing things differently than you would do them as you delegate and grow a company. It's one of the biggest challenges. You know, if you're if you're an entrepreneur and you create a company and everything you do is in your control, it's not a problem because it's your culture. You're controlling everything. But as you grow and delegate, you have to empower others to carry out the business model of the company and the culture. So when you start seeing things that you don't like and you're concerned about, you start dealing with how can I solve that problem. So you start talking about culture as a problem to solve. And you start defining, what is culture? How do I even communicate to somebody what the culture is? So in about 1988, the company was growing, having challenges. You know, you go 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, that kind of thing. So a consultant, a small business consultant we hired, Sue Hodinko. Sue was the most amazing gift. It's like the universe delivered again to the company and to me something that could help us solve this problem, because we had just acquired a company. It's our first really big acquisition at the time, VSL. And VSL had 100 people and 5 offices spread across the United States. And they had technology and engineering and some construction. We were basically a contractor that had a solution mentality and technology. So this was a compliment to us. So this company was being sold by a French company. It was owned by a French company, big French company. And we had the opportunity to buy it almost for nothing. It was losing money, and they were divesting of it. So when we acquired this company, we realized that the people in this company were sad. They were fear. You could see they couldn't give you eye contact. They were afraid. And I never experienced people like that, all of them. And we brought them together when we acquired the company. We had this big meeting, and you could see the concern that these people had, what their future was going to be. And I was thinking, wow, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be exciting. And, you know, in the same room are people that had been with the company for a while, not from the acquisition, but people that are growing up in our culture were different. You could see they're smiling, laughing, talking. And the opposite was true. So it was a concern. How can they feel this way? How can they perform well if they're sad or fear-based and concerned like that? So Sue was hired, and she was working with me to become a better leader. I mean, I had a lot of limitations, and I was probably the reason the company was having problems. You know, I had desire but no skill, and had the will but no skill. And she started working with me on improving my leadership and management skills, understanding even what that was as we scaled into multiple offices. So I didn't have line of sight of everything at the time. We're delegating. I'm a good delegator, maybe to a fault. So she had worked for Marriott as a consultant, which is in Maryland, headquartered in Bethesda, and she gave us a book to read, which was The Marriott Way.
Great book.
And in there, it's all about the Marriott culture and how they manage the culture. And so they had a set of operating principles that define the walk of the talk. And it's like, wow, okay, now I get it. You need a set of operating principles that are just, statements about what's important in the culture. So we came back together a couple of days later, and we sat down as a management team with Sue facilitating, and we said, let's we want a culture, we want to define it like Marriott has, and let's come up with our own set of operating principles. And that's what we did. So we have basically the same operating principles for the last 20 years. And those operating principles form the foundation for training other people in the company. So our first job was to go to this new acquisition and all these people and talk about the joy we should be having at work, the happiness, the positive energy, feeling cared for, all those kinds of things. So we started going out and talking not only to each of those offices, the 5 offices of the new people, but also we went to all the other offices that we had around the company. And surprisingly, we felt pretty good that we had a training program that lasted a whole day. It put me in front of every one of our people. But we also had offices that had been around a while, successful offices that the people, after we did the training, our key people in those offices would say, I like what you're saying, Peter, but it's not like that here. We have a lot of fear in the workplace. And then the most important thing they said was, what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. Here I am telling them to walk the talk, and now they're telling me to walk the talk. Mm. They put it back on me. And this was a big issue, a big turning point for the company. Are we just talk? We talk about things you like and what you want, these platitudes. And they were putting something to me that would cause the most unbelievable values clarification for me. Is money more important than culture? Because the office that we were being challenged by the team there was our most profitable office. In the past 10 years of that, from that meeting back 10 years, it generated 50% of all the company profits in New York City. Holy crap.
Wow.
So we went to the leader that was the center of this controversy, the center of the fear in the workplace. And we said, hey, you were in the training, your guys are saying it's not like that. And they gave us examples. And by the way, reflecting back on the past 15 years you've been working here, yeah, we can relate to what they're saying. But, we can't go forward without change. And that means the leadership style has to change. Are you willing to change? And listen to what, and follow the principles. Are you willing to walk the talk? That's our goal. It's like, man, you can take this guy that just creates all this profit and have him change. That's the simplest solution, right?
Oh, yeah. Small change would have huge monumental results.
So basically, long story short is no, I'm not willing to change. So ultimately, he had to leave. But that decision to give up 50% of the profits, because we knew that the succession plan in that office was, it was all about him. Yeah. It was his strategy. He was a brilliant strategist and contractor, but so you can be successful. I guess that's the other lesson I learned. You can be extremely successful with different styles.
Yeah. It's
just not the style we wanted. But we were going to give up that brilliant operator capability if he left, and he did leave, and it went from the most profitable office to red ink for 3 years before we could turn it around. And it just forced me and the rest of my leadership team to make a hard decision. Was money more important than the culture? And we stuck with the culture, and the universe, I call it the universe because there's powers out there that give you, so we powered through it. And it was right at the time of the internet bubble crash. So we had a recession, we had this change, but we got some other things happen that allowed us to be sustainable through that period and continue to grow. And then we took off. We just launched. As soon as we got this reconciliation of values and getting the company aligned and getting all the people marching in the same direction from a cultural standpoint, we went from like $80 million revenue to 400, just like that.
Unbelievable.
So you don't realize the things that make you successful are small things, but culture, to answer your question, is the most important thing. Because that's what you live for every day. That's what makes you sleep at night. That's what makes you feel good,
Gives you true fulfillment.
In the culture that we've defined. Other people, culture might be all about making money, but in our company, culture is about, the people, the human. It's all about the human experience of having a good experience.
I think that I speak about it a lot, but and what you just illustrated, I think really brings it to life is this idea that there's so many companies that have a mission statement, and that's what happened. You created this mission statement, this values card, and you morphed it into actually being on a mission. And there's a big difference there, right? I'm saying any company can give you a mission statement, but are you actually on a mission? And the way that's tested, obviously you tested it, and once we really said we're going to be on a mission, everybody follows you.
Yeah, Chad, you're so right. Having a mission-driven company. It helps. It's amazing. I talked to a lot of my friends that have business, and I said, "What's your mission statement? Tell me what it is." And then they kind of muddle through it. Sometimes they're clear. Yeah. Sometimes they don't really have it written down or ever processed it. I said, "What's your vision statement? Where do you want to go?" And they struggle with it. So to me, defining your purpose in life it's like everybody wants a purpose. So having a company with a purpose that's clearly and easily communicated to your stakeholders, your internal stakeholders, outside stakeholders, just makes it easier. Yeah. And having a vision is where you want to go. How can you go on a vacation if you don't ever say where you want to go? You just wander around the house saying, I want to go on vacation, when I want to go on vacation. But you got to have a vacation is a destination. Correct. So our vision is our vacation, is where we're going.
That's awesome, and it's good, and it's always getting fine tuned. It's always getting, the idea of where you're going today, I'm saying, is different than where you're going to be going 5 years from now. But the core mission is still the same. The mission, and this is what's so great, and I said it at the beginning, if people don't know who structural technology is, they are thankful for them without even knowing. And this is what really brings it to life. So you have these 3,000 employees that work for you and work with you. And they go about their business, and this was so incredible. I was somewhere, and somebody said, "Have you been to New York City?" And I said, "Yeah, all the time." And he said, "Well, you can just say thank you." And I went, "What?" And he's like tongue in cheek. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, did a piece of concrete fall on your head as you walking down the street?" He said, "No." He says, "That's because we were there." And he said it so proudly. And what you do is, one of your mission statements is we make existing structures stronger and last longer. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this is, you take one of the many things you do is you literally take buildings that otherwise would be maybe torn down or maybe in disrepair, and you literally make them safe for people to work in. I was 3 years ago in Maryland, we had a small earthquake. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And my daughters were I guess it was probably longer than that because they were in elementary school. So this was probably 5 years ago. And their school was an old Catholic school, probably, 80 years old, 70 years old, something like that. And it got damaged in the earthquake. And structural technologies came in,
right,
fixed the building,
yep,
so that my daughters could go back into school. And I never thought of it, again, if I didn't know who Structural Technologies was, I wouldn't have known the impact. But I'm thinking to myself, my kid could have been sitting in that classroom, and because of the work you did, the building could have collapsed, and something could have happened, and my child could have been severely injured.
Right.
Do you think about that? Because your employees do, and I think that's they talk about that all the time, and it mesmerizes me. I think the best companies are where they can tie their employees, what the employees do, to the end result, the greater good that it serves. And it seems that's really driven home here.
Yeah, I think the mission, if it's, there's a lot of buzz about purpose-driven mission. A purpose is something that we as people can rally around, and it's important. Like Elon Musk, he wants to change the world. He's mission-driven to, remove internal combustion engines and make it electric to reduce pollution. Right. That's a big purpose. Yeah. So our purpose is to make the built environment more sustainable. So we don't have to keep rebuilding things, that we can extend the service life, make them safer, make them last longer. And that's good for the environment. So there's lots of things we can rally around that say we have a big purpose. But I would say our biggest purpose in our mission statement has two parts. One part is what we do with our customers' property, make them stronger and last longer. But our true purpose and true mission is for our people. We're all people working here, and we want to, if you made a wish list of what you would like, is like, I like to make a decent pay, I like to work with people I like to be fairly treated and feel cared for, I want to choose a career and feel like I can grow there. So that's our most important mission statement, having an enriching work experience for our people, that they feel cared for and can grow and develop. We want that beyond a paycheck. So I think that's really our purpose. And once our people understand that we actually walk that talk, and it's always work in progress. It's not ever completed. But we have a benefit of not having external stakeholders like being public or being owned by some big company or investors. We're internally owned, and we can choose what we want to invest in. So that's what we invest in, our people. Yes, profits are critically important because that's what we use to reinvest. So we don't have to go outside and take other people's money. No, we're going to earn profit and reinvest it, and that's why we can continue to grow.
But the profit's just a vehicle in which to live out the mission, taking care of people.
Yeah, I'm 68 years old. I started when I was 24. It's gone so fast, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do the rest of my life? I can't think of anything more than I want to do is just stay here and keep doing this. It's the greatest joy of be able, and that's the biggest power a human has, is manifesting something. So manifesting for me is creating something from nothing and then continue to build upon that any way you want. We can choose it by our thoughts. And we do that every day here. We create vision together with our teams, and we create a future, and then we manifest it into reality. It's amazing the power we have.
Yeah, you said that now a couple of times, and the first time you said it, it really stuck with me. It's the first time I ever heard it. And then you just really brought it to life again, and that is your vision becomes your reality.
Yes.
Your vision becomes your reality. Tell me more about that.
So so the human is different than anything else on this planet. A human can think about things and create a vision of the future, a thought. It starts with a thought of something that you desire. Like, I want to go on vacation is a thought. Then you say, well, where do I want to go on vacation? I want to go to Acapulco or wherever. And then you start planning it, and then you start executing it, and then you're there. Wow, animal kingdom can't do that. We can. That's manifesting something from a thought. So your thoughts are so powerful, and there's a lot written about this. Oh, yeah. We are our thoughts, and you get more of what you focus on. So vision is our ability to start thinking about the future, and then you start thinking about how am I going to do it, and then you execute, and then you manifest. And you create stuff from nothing. So once we realize we have that power, is our greatest power as a human. So you want to be happy, you create happiness. You want to be sad, and you want to be full of drama, you can do that too. Yeah. And you see people in the bell curve of people, you see it all. But it's what's in their head that creates their reality.
Yeah, I love that because it is so true in every sense of the word. I think about the greatest joys in my life. It's things I've manifested. I think about the greatest failures or trials in my life. I manifested that as well. So it can go either way. And so knowing that you have this ability to manifest your future, how do you master that? How do you master the idea of understanding that, that I can create my own future? Because it's unbelievably liberating when you know it.
Yeah.
But it can also be unbelievably fearful.
Yeah. So you can be a victim of your own manifestation. So one of the things is you have to be positively focused. So being positively focused means you can look into the future. You can be creative. If you're fear-based and worried about things, you can only look backwards. So you can't ever create anything. A creative person is always positively focused. So that's my belief.
Yeah.
So being positively focused, and we have our number one operating principle: be positively focused. Focus on in all situations, interactions, turn problems into opportunities. Right. So in this company, positive energy has a business purpose. It's not just to be fun and be positive. There's people that don't like being positive. They're always negative. They don't belong here, or they have to change. But being positively focused allows your creativity to open up, and that way you can start thinking about things in the future. So when you're in a business, you want to create something in the future all the time. Changes, more of this and less of that, and it's constant change. And being positively focused allows your creativity to open up and say, okay, how can we do that? And that's what drives the company. This positive energy, this ability to manifest. Now, we could manifest ugly stuff too, if we had, a desire to do that. I just can't imagine why you'd want to do that. But some people do.
Yeah.
I've had relationships with people that are very negatively focused. They're drama people. They're victims of everything that goes around them, and they don't think they have the power. But they're actually creating their own reality with their thoughts. And they feel like they're victims, but they're not.
They just don't understand. They just don't understand that they're creating their own story. They don't understand that.
Yeah. So
they buy into this mindset that somebody else is creating my story for me, and I'm just an actor in it. I'm not the writer and the actor. I'm just the actor.
And I think from a business standpoint, Chad, there's another thing I've learned is you don't want to roadmap too much. So you create a vision of what you want. Like I wanted a vision like I started the conversation of being a business owner. That was a vision. It wasn't a roadmap. I had no idea. I said, okay, well, maybe I can become an owner with these guys. Maybe they'll let me buy in at some point in the future. But no, the universe shot up this opportunity to buy a franchise and create this other business. So, so vision is really important, your destination. And you need to have thoughts in the near term of, okay, what are my next steps? But you never want, in my view, to do like 5 years from now, I want to be here as a company. You need near-term actions, but don't set a roadmap for 5 years. Because the universe doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have no idea how opportunities are going to show up to get you there. And the universe is your pal. Yeah. It's your partner. And it gives you stuff all the time.
I love that. Yeah. So the roadmap of 5 years from now just puts blinders on you because you only see that roadmap.
Yes.
Where the universe gives you opportunities, and if you're not tied down, you can see these opportunities as you go and make those decisions as you navigate the roads.
I have 45 years of business experience and 68 years of human experience that tells me this is true.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are very analytical, and we've had people here that want to write a 5-year roadmap. I said, no, just do the 1-year plan. Don't do the next 4 after that.
Okay.
And you will see that when you look back 5 years from now and look how you achieved it, it won't be the way you perceived it. Okay. That is so important.
I love that. Yeah, I've never heard that before, but man, when you say it, it's so true. You're robbing the universe of its job, of what it's there to do, which is provide opportunities. I mean, for me, and I know everybody has a different terminology of what universe is. To me, universe is the environment in which you're around that is always abundant. There's always abundance
Yes.
of opportunities, and they're always there. It's a matter of, are you open to seeing them? Is that correct? Like, is that?
You have to be able to. So if you have a vision, you can see something that's going to fit it. If you don't have a vision, you can see things and they won't mean the same thing.
Yeah, I love that.
These are universal principles.
Yes, so true. So let me ask you. I want to ask you a couple more questions. And so there's a thought. I have a thought that if it's not broken, break it. If it's not broken, break it. Always be evolving. Always be trying to. Don't become complacent with just where you are today, because there's. Do you subscribe to that? Do you just subscribe to this, or are you if it's not broken, don't fix it?
Oh my God, there's lots of ways to view that, but this is so important. So I tell people, if they come here, there's going to be change, and you better be ready for change. We continually evolve because we see more and more possibilities, and possibilities show upon possibilities. And you have to choose your path through those possibilities, like walking through the woods. Which path am I going to take? So that change is fundamental. And I love disintegration. You know, sometimes it's the best opportunity you need disintegration a lot of times to get unstuck, right? And then you integrate because you're in survival mode when things disintegrate, so to speak. Yeah. And it opens your mind up for all possibilities. So we have disintegration happening off and on in different things that we do. You know, a meltdown over here is an opportunity. You have to look at it that way. That's why our operating principles say you got to turn those problems into opportunities, because they're fundamentally tools to change and seize upon the opportunities that you have. So I think to be static, I would be bored. I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I'd quit.
Too monotonous.
I'd do something else. I need stimulation.
Yeah. Ray Kroc once said, "If you're green, you're growing. If you're ripe, you're dying."
Yes.
And he said, "I never want to be ripe."
Yeah. So a company, I don't know how I can just go sideways without dying.
Yeah, because I think you see it. You know, you see people say all the time that, you know, if you look at, you can use the Microsoft as an example. Microsoft still is a huge, powerful company, but they became complacent with where they were in the marketplace, and there's always somebody that's gonna
eat your lunch.
Yeah, they're working hard to come back and say, and they're building, like right now. There's some 23-year-old kid, and I can say kid now because I'm twice that age, and so the 23-year-old kid that is right now going to his boss and saying, "Can I ever be an owner?" And that boss is saying, "Nope, we're 50-50." And they're starting the path. And what they're going to do is they're going to listen to this podcast. So they're going to see the way structural technology do stuff. And they're going to be able to take what you've built and literally copy it, into the sense of not copy it, but your principle, right? Like,
yes.
Follow you. And they're going to get there a lot faster. And that's the way, you know, like, there's always somebody that is going to pick up on the technology. Elon Musk may have laid the groundwork for what he's going to do, but somebody's going to carry that on and make it go faster. So you have to always be prepared for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you can be Ubered in a minute, in a country second, a New York second.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm proud that I've created at least 50 competitors. People that worked here have left and started their own company, or set up new divisions in other companies, because people see this as a great business. And it doesn't, just like I started with very little. Today, you can be a very basic repair company, like a plumber, and put a shingle out, just like a plumber that fixes your house, electrician. Fixing concrete can be the same way. So I'm proud that we create an environment to create 50 new entrepreneurs. I have a family out there of people that have been successful. It's awesome to see. But there's an abundance.
Yeah, it hasn't stopped you. Last year, the best year yet. You keep having best year. You keep growing and growing. It's not stifling your growth. It's only multiplying, because the universe always repays.
It's what you said, Chad. Abundance.
Yeah.
There's enough for everybody to whatever it is you want. So never feel like it's a zero-sum game. Never. You'll shut down. You'll be afraid, and you'll get in the fear mode, and then you're not creative, and it just self-fulfills itself. Yeah. And you will have no abundance if you believe that.
I love that, because I'm an abundance guy, and I'm not talking abundance of just wealth. Like I think that you created to have abundance of wealth and health and happiness and joy and fulfillment. But you, to your point, you have to manifest it. It's there for the taking.
Yes.
And one of the things we talk about a lot is you have to believe that you're worthy of it. If you don't believe you're worthy of abundance, what kind of mindset do you think that produces?
It just makes you look. You become a victim of the system.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people that feel that way. But if they just knew they could turn this little switch, and have all they want, you get more of what you focus on. Was a subject of a book and Oprah and all this kind of stuff. It's so true.
Love it. Yeah.
People focus it on financial abundance, but like you say, it's all kinds of just happiness, health, happiness.
Yeah.
It's your power.
It all comes from there. All right, I got two more questions for you. Actually, probably three. I'm going to read something to you, and I just want you to talk about it. All right. Mm-hmm. So, continually challenge your team and yourself to excel. What does that mean to you? Continually challenge your team and yourself to excel.
So it kind of ties into another operating principle we have. That's an operating principle about excellence or performance. We also have, we've made a choice to be excellent. We want to be the very best we can be, just like an athlete wants to be the very best, and you keep working towards it, and you keep challenging yourself to be better. So as a company, we want to do that. We want to be the best at performing. And performing for us is safety, quality, cost efficiency, the quality of our culture, all those things. We want to be excellent. We don't want to be mediocre or just scoot by. So in order to do that, you have to keep challenging yourself. We measure a lot of metrics in this company, and that's cool, like a runner, or I know you run, and you want to beat your best time. You're competing against yourself, not others. And we do that. We like to measure our performance and then say we can do better. Because you never get there. It's all about the journey. And you realize when you die probably that it was your journey, not your destination, that gave you the joy. And there's a lot of joy in getting better at something and challenging yourself and figuring it out. Yeah,
progress equals happiness, right? So as long as I'm progressing, I'm going to be happy. And if I'm happy, I'm going to keep progressing, right? So it's and so what's great about that, and I was at I coached girls basketball, high school basketball, AAU team, and last night we've won the last 7 games, and the girls were really boastful last night in practice. They were starting to read some of their own press clippings, and he said, in the final game we had 3 games. I said the final game we shot 40% from the foul line, and that's just simply not acceptable. We're better than that. And one of the players said, but we won. And I said, yeah, but it's about a lot more than winning. It's about being better than you were the game before. We're not competing. The game we're playing is, yes, there's a winner and a loser in that game, but that's not who we're competing against. We're not competing against that team. We're competing against how we were the week before, how we were the week. I said, that win-loss record is irrelevant. It's are we better? And that's what it seems like you're saying about you. It doesn't matter about the competitors. It matters, can we be better than we were yesterday?
Yeah, it's about your vision. And if you have a vision, and that requires a vision to be better, it gives you a purpose. You're purpose-driven if you have a vision about being better than you were the day before, or the year before, or 10 years before. And that gives you satisfaction when you get up. There's a purpose to get up and do something. That's what makes you have joy and happiness.
Yeah, I know you, so I know what's great about this is you believe this. Like there are owners of huge companies like this that say it, but they don't really subscribe to it. But you, like, this emanates from you. This really, you really believe this stuff.
Yeah, you got to open up your heart chakra, and you got to let it open up and to the world, and be open to everything. And you feel the joy come in, and you feel the joy go out. Happiness is all about that.
Yeah, one of the things I loved was when I first came around here and started learning about you and the company. I learned that you have a place in Hawaii that you take some of your leaderships and you literally work on the person. at these retreats. How important is that to you? Like this is not something that you hear a lot of companies do, but you take leadership and you say, all right, we're going to go and we're going to decompress and we're going to work on you as an individual, as a human, not as an employee or a title. Why is that so important to you?
Well, I think it's part of our mission statement to feel in a workplace being enriched, from the experience and to feel cared for, to create an environment where everybody can evolve. And what is evolution as a human is really the soul. The soul is evolving in your life experience, and you need to work on it. It's no different than putting oil in your car or putting grease in a fitting. You got to work on your what drives you, what will allow you to evolve, and getting to know yourself at a deep spiritual level. Not a religious thing; it's a spiritual thing. Is what is your purpose? How am I evolving when I came in as a baby, and when I leave, how have I evolved in a macro thing? And the work experience is you spend a lot of time. So anything that the work experience can do to allow you to grow and see yourself and evolve is critically important. So we can do that. It's not that hard. We have a person here a couple times a month that you can sign up for an hour. It's like Reiki healing. It's like energy work, and it allows you to experience your energy field. We have these energy fields, and we don't even know it. And we got to nurture it. Just like we nurture our physical body, we have to nurture our energy fields that are really what we're made of. The physical part is just hanging in there like clothing. And it carries us through life and beyond. And that's awesome to understand that and actually experience some of the energy feelings. So that it makes it real.
I love that. One of my favorite movies is Patch Adams, this real life story about this doctor who wanted to change the medical field. And I knew about the energy healer that you had come, that you've been doing that for a long time. And in this movie, Patch Adams, there's a great line that said, he's talking about changing the way the medical professional works with patients. Yeah. And he said, if you treat the patient, you win, you lose. You treat the person, you win every time. Yeah. And you're basically the corporate Patch Adams, where you're saying, you treat the employee, you win some, you lose some. Like you have good return on investment, bad return on investment. You treat the person, you're going to win every time. And that seems to be what your real personal mission is I'm gonna treat every individual person and pour into that person regardless of the position. I'm gonna help have an energy healer. I'm gonna create a great culture and environment for them. I'm gonna create a place of safety where they can go home to their families and be safe while they're working. I'm gonna pay them good wages so that they don't have to worry about money. This is all you pouring into the person, not the title.
And one of the things I like about this company is that we have a cross-section of people that are just entering the workforce. Maybe they flipped hamburgers in their first job. And we have people that have PhD degrees. We have the full cross-section, and we like self-performing because we get to interact with all the people. There's no elitist. We're all equal. We're all human beings. And it's all a big pot that we're in. And it's great to see that you really start to feel the equality of the human experience. We're all humans experiencing something. We all have different jobs, and we all have different educations, different communities, different backgrounds and ethnicity. It really, that environment actually makes you feel humble and equal with every other human being, which is part of that experience.
Yeah, I think before I ask my last question, I'll just bring it to life. I'm saying if you want to really know Peter, before the podcast, I said, Peter, what exactly is your title again? I want to make sure I get it right. He goes, I'm just Peter. The title's not important. And that to me just sums up exactly what you just said. It's, hey, we're in this together, where there's no one is more important than the other. We're just all serving different roles, but we're all part of this mission together, which I think is awesome. All right, so my last question for you, and that is, when you, 40, 50 years from now, when you leave this earth, what do you want your contribution to have been?
That's a big question. Chad.
Yeah.
My contribution is, I think I feel it every day. I mean, it makes me happy that I can lead an organization that has what we've talked about, a good place to work. And if people that when they retire feel like they had a good experience here, if they worked a week or 20 years or 50 years, that's satisfying to me. That's all I can do. And then I will be satisfied that I used every ounce of my creativity and manifestation ability, and I didn't let anything get wasted in that ability to do that. That gives me great joy. My mother was a creator. She created something every day. She was an artist, pottery, woodworking, paintings, cooking, you named it. She never, when she passed away, and we had to go through the house, we had so much stuff. And I had 4 siblings, so it's 5 of us splitting up all this stuff. And we couldn't believe how much she manifested every day. She never wasted a day not creating something from her power of creating stuff. And I feel the same way. I must have gotten something like that. I'm manifesting different kinds of stuff. I'm not an artist like she is, but we're all artists if we're creating something from our creativity. That gives me great joy.
I love that.
When I die, I know I did everything I could to squeeze it all in.
Wow. That might be the best. I ask that question at the end of every podcast. That might be the best answer I've ever gotten. I left nothing out there. I manifested everything I possibly could. That's awesome. So listen, if you're driving over a bridge, listen to this. If you're walking down the street of New York, listen to this on your iPhone. If you're in a building and you're safe, structural was probably there. Structural technologies was probably there. So thank you for keeping us safe, but thank you for creating such a great culture, because it emanates out from every employee that works here, every employee that comes in contact with. They clearly are on the same mission. So thank you very much.
Well, your awesome questions really stimulated me in my thinking. Thank you. Thank you,
Awesome.
Chad.
Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for listening. Bye.